excited to do a work for the Lord. I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited what God's going to do in the midst of His people. If you believe it, say amen. 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 We're going to go to the book of Luke on tonight. That's the book of Luke, chapter number 22. And we're going to look at just a handful of verses, verses 31 through verse 34. Very familiar passages of scripture. At this point, just like Apostle Murray says, if you've been in church any amount of time, most texts seem like a familiar passage of scripture, but this is certainly one. Luke chapter number 22. We're going to begin at verse 31. I certainly want to give honor to my wife on tonight. We thank God for her. I'm trying to check all my checks as a new husband. Amen. If you have Luke number 22, verse number 31, signify it loudly by saying, I have it. Amen. If I can have someone read that for me.
And the Lord said, Simon, Simon, behold, Satan hath desired to have you, that he may sift you as wheat. But I have prayed for thee, that thy faith fail not. And when thou art converted, strengthen thy brethren. And he said unto him, Lord, I am ready to go with thee, both into prison and into death. And he said, I tell thee, Peter, the cock shall not crow this day before that thou shalt thrice deny that thou knowest me.
Verse number 31. And the Lord said, Simon, Simon, behold, Satan hath desired to have you, that he may sift you as wheat. But I have prayed for you, that your faith fail not. And when thou art converted, strengthen thy brother. And that's what I want to use for a text on tonight, right there at the end of verse number 32. That's what I want to use for a thought. Strengthen thy brethren. Reach over and encourage somebody close to you. Tell them, neighbor, strengthen thy brethren. Yeah, that's a good message for the people of God. I was praying and I was asking God what to share with the people of God. And this story, it resonates with me. Because here we are at the end of Jesus' ministry. He's done everything that he's going to do on the earth at this point. And he is engaging in what has been hallmarked as the Last Supper. He is having that Last Supper, that last dining, that last communion, that last opportunity to impart to the disciples. And he's trying to prepare them for them doing ministry without them. And Jesus, in the midst of his preparation, leans over in the middle of the conversation and tells Peter, the enemy has desired to have you and to sift you like wheat. But he said, Peter, don't worry about it. He said, I prayed for you. I've prayed that your faith won't fail. And he said, as a matter of fact, when you come on the other side of your situation, go ahead and testify to your brothers and sisters. Strengthen your brethren. And look at Peter's response. Peter's response is just like any of our response. If God would have told us that we were going to mess up, how are you going to stare in God's face and God tells you, I'm going to mess up? You went, no, God, not me. God, I love you. I've been saved for 10 years, 15 years, 50 years. I've been going down to that church almost all my life. There's no way, God, that I can ever make a mistake. There's no way, God, that I can ever deny you. That's Peter's response. And even after God told him that he was going to deny him, he couldn't believe what Jesus was going to do, what he was going to do. So here it is. The story goes on to say that as they left the Last Supper, Scripture says that they went out to the Garden of Gethsemane. They went out to pray. Jesus went out to pray. The disciples fell asleep. They went out to sleep. Jesus went out to pray, and at the end of Jesus' praying, Scripture says that a group of people led by Judas. Is that why I say it out loud? By who? By Judas. A group that was led by Judas came out to arrest Jesus. Scripture says that Peter pulled out a sword and he cut off Judas's ear. Now, when you read that, I like to believe, and this is not a commentary, but I like to believe that after Peter was told that he was going to deny Jesus, I like to believe that maybe he looked for an opportunity to prove his loyalty to Jesus. He looked for an opportunity to say that, no, I'm not going to deny Jesus. I got Jesus' back. When Jesus came to get arrested in his effort to show and to prove to everyone that he loved Jesus and he had Jesus' back, he operated in his flesh. And how many of you know that any time that we seek to prove how saved we are, we seek to prove how anointed we are, and we seek to prove how anointed we are, how many of y'all know that that's a recipe for disaster? That's an opportunity for you to step out of the spirit and to step into your flesh. That's that time when you get called up to testify and you make up your mind, I'm going to testify like I've never testified before. Yeah, I'm going to tell the story like it's never been told before. And you get up and you think in your mind, I'm just going to really get up and I'm going to shut the church down and they're going to shout and everybody's going to talk about how wonderful I am. And that's you stepping out in your flesh. But how many of y'all know anytime you step out in your flesh, just as Jesus had to fix Peter's mistake, now God has to clean up your mess. After you stepped out of the spirit and you decided to do things your way. So Peter, not wanting to deny Jesus, not wanting to fail, not wanting to make a mistake, stepped out, cut the soldier's ear off. Story goes on to say that Jesus picked up the ear, put it back on the soldier's side of his head, healed him. And then he went on and got arrested. Scripture says that Peter followed closely. And after standing down in the court of the high priest, Scripture says that Peter was approached by a woman that was there. And it says that that woman began to challenge Peter and say, I know you. Yeah, you're one of those people that follow Jesus. And Peter said, no, that's not me. She says, no, I've seen you with them. Matter of fact, you sound like your speech betrays you. He says, no, that's not me. And Scripture says that he denied Jesus 3 times, just as Jesus had told him. And the Scripture says that he went away exceedingly sorrowful. And that's where my message wants to pick up on tonight. After he had denied Jesus and after he had disappointed himself. Because how many of you know that so many times we as Christians, we find ourselves in the same position as Peter, where you're trying to move forward in God and you're trying to operate in God. You're trying to move forward, but you find yourself having disappointed yourself in God. You find yourself dealing with the shame of your past. You find yourself dealing with the disappointment of your failures. And you find yourself doing one of the most hardest thing in the world to do, to forgive yourself. Yeah, that's what God wanted me to share with the people unto God. Because one of the first steps on the way to strengthening your brethren, you've got to forgive yourself. Yeah, it's the disappointment of your shame. It is what you've gone through. So many times I've talked to Christians and they've been saved for just years and years and years. They've been saved for a healthy amount of time. But for some reason, the enemy has a way of just calling back that former life and calling back those things that you've been through. And sometimes that doubt and that disappointment, that shame starts to creep its way back into your mind, and you start to go through one of the biggest battlefields in your life, which is the battlefield that takes place between your ears. Yeah, you go through fights as a believer. You may fight with family, you may fight with co-workers, you may fight with other people, but there's no fight like the fight that takes place in your mind. And you've got to do just what so often is admonished us to do. You've got to forgive yourself. So many times we talk about how forgiveness is not for that person that offended you, but forgiveness is for you. Yeah, when you forgive someone, it releases the burden of that situation and it allows you to move forward. It is so interesting how we are comfortable and we're okay with the idea of forgiving other people, but when it comes time for you to forgive yourself, for some reason you just can't let it go. And God wanted me to encourage somebody on tonight that just like you have a responsibility to forgive other people, you've got a responsibility to forgive yourself. Because can I let you in on a little secret? What you went through and what you did, it didn't surprise God. God knew what you were going to do before you even did it. The reason why you're so hurt and the reason why you're so disappointed is because you didn't know what you were going to do. But God knew what you were going to do. Jesus stood right in Peter's face and told him, you're going to deny me. And just like God knew what Peter was going to go through, God knows what you're going to go through. But it's us having to reconcile and having to deal with what we've gone through, that we have to try to put ourselves in the position to where we can forgive ourselves. It presents itself as such a challenge to try to forgive ourselves. And meanwhile, God is just sitting on the throne room telling you, all you got to do is forgive yourself. Let it go. I knew what you were going to go through before you went through it. I knew your end from the beginning. And guess what? Not only did I know what you were going to do, I had every plan in place to forgive you. Yeah, God knew he was going to love you on the other side of your situation anyway. You ought to clap your hands for that and thank God for his grace and his mercy. God had every intent to forgive you, and God had every intent to make a way of escape for you. I read in the word in the book of Jeremiah, he said, "For they shall all know me." Yeah, from the least of them to the greatest of them, saith the Lord. And he said, "I will forgive their iniquity." And check this out. He said, "I will remember their sin no more." That's what he prophesied to the prophet of Jeremiah. He said, "I will remember their sin no more." Now understand, there's a difference between forgiveness and remembrance. When he said, "I remember their sin no more," that means I'm not going to hold them accountable for it. I'm going to forgive them. It's going to be washed in the blood. I'm going to let it go. When they stand before me, I'm not going to judge them. I'm not going to remember it. But understand, God knows everything that you've gone through. He hasn't forgotten your situation. He hasn't forgotten what you've gone through. And he's got every intent to reconcile that thing. But you've got to forgive yourself. Yeah, you've got to let that thing go. You've got to see yourself as God sees you. You've got to stand in the moving you to the promised place that he has for you. So Paul went on to say in Philippians chapter number 3, he said, "Brethren, I count not myself to have apprehended," but he said, this one thing I do. I forget those things that are behind. Yeah, I forget